Hey friends, it's the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead, and the dear carrots are in. This is what I get for $8 when it's full. When it's full. I've already started on this. Let's go in the house and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I already peeled and cut up these chunks while I was on live stream. Now I have them in these size chunks because this year I'm not using my chop wizard. My wrists are just too sore right now. So I'm going to use this slicing attachment that my friend Serenity Wolf gave me. God bless her heart. This is going to save me some big wrist pain. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my and it's real simple. If you like them perfectly round sliced, put them in the right way. I gotta stop the video right here because you already saw my KitchenAid die when I was grating cheese. And now you're seeing me slice using a slicing attachment on this KitchenAid. Folks, this size of KitchenAid is not designed for these heavy-duty attachments. So please, if you want to make noodles and you want to slice things and you want to grind meat and stuff, get the next size up. Get the lift bowl. But trust me, 30 pounds of carrots. Let's turn this up a little bit. No, maybe not too fast. As you can see, I now have a full stock pot of carrots. I'm just going to take this water and pour it through this a little bit. Rinse it out. And the water will go into the carrots because it's carrot water anyway, so why waste it? Half a pot of stock water on to boil, and then I'm going to rinse. I'm going to rinse these, blanch them, and get them on the dehydrator. These ends and peels have been washed and are now going in a bread bag going in the freezer for my next batch of broth. Okay folks, my half a stock pot of water is boiling to get these carrots in here without spilling them all over the place. Now these carrots are really, really thin, so I'm only going to bring these up to a boil and cook them for boil them for 1 minute. If they were thicker, I would say 3 minutes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I am making a mess. I'm telling you, when they weren't sliced, it didn't fill the stock pot. Oh, good lordy, lordy, lordy. I feel 140. All right, so now, holy crap. I am just going to try and get these under the water. I might have to boil a kettle. But we'll put a lid on it, and that will keep the heat and the steam in, and when this comes back up to a boil, we're going to boil it for 1 minute, and then onto the dehydrator it goes. Alrighty. I have my trays. They're all nice and washed and ready. If you have problems washing these trays, folks, just drop them in the bathtub. Squirt them with Dawn and vinegar and then let them soak and wash them off. Now, I don't have a lot of these mesh trays, so I always put one on the bottom and one on the top so that when I rotate my trays, I always have something catching the small debris that falls through. We'll use a mushroom can from the recycling bin. As you can see, I clean my cans before they go in the recycling bin. Everybody should. So we're just going to spread this. It doesn't have to be super thin, but you do want it so that when they start to dry and shrink up, that they will make spaces between themselves. I heard somewhere that if they get a dirty recycling, it just goes into the landfill. So please, folks, wash your recycling. Now, if you notice me piling them a little bit thicker, the higher I go, As long as they're not like so thick that you can't put another tray on them and that you get air circulation, it's fine. But I get them a little thicker towards the top because that's where the heat's coming from. Yes, it circulates well, but it's still coming from the top of the dehydrator. All right, first batch. These are going to be set on 135 degrees, the fruit and vegetable setting. Oh! And then I'm going to go in the house and I'm going to start making more. Here is batch number 2. Now, unlike the first ones, I couldn't do them with the KitchenAid, obviously. So I had to do them with the Chop Wizard. But the first batch that I did with the KitchenAid was sliced, and it filled, that batch filled a whole half-gallon jar. So now I'm going to have sliced and diced dehydrated carrots, and I still have a third of a bag to go. I'm going to blanch them in my canning pot. Yeah, don't worry about the water. That's the water that my carrots were soaking in. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to use it for blanching. Okay, so I managed to get that whole stock pot into this. This is one of my pressure canners. And I'm just going to bring, now because these are bigger chunks and thicker chunks from chopping instead of slicing, I'm going to bring these up to a simmer and simmer them for 3 minutes, not 1, because they're thicker. When you have a lot like this, getting them to come up to boil again is really difficult. But as you can see, this is coming up to a simmer. You don't want it to boil over anyway. So when your pieces are thick like this, cook them to fork tender, which means you don't have to bring them up to a boil. Just simmer them until they're fork tender but not cooked. That means you can't get the fork all the way through, but you can get it somewhat in. Folks, be really careful. I just scalded my wrist and hand on the outside here, trying to dump this, or trying to get this to the sink. I spilt it on my wrist. Thank God I had the presence of mind to set it on the counter. I'm going to take these out in the porch and put them on the dehydrator. You don't need to see that. You know the routine. So when I'm done all the carrots, I'll show you what I got when we're done. The rest of the bag of carrots went into the minestrone soup. Now that was a 35-pound bag of carrots I got for $8. Now here is the half-gallon jar of sliced carrots, and that was a full stock pot, and this was a full stock pot. So don't ask me how that happened. But I have a half-gallon jar and a half of a half-gallon jar of dehydrated carrots, as well as what went into the minestrone soup. I don't want to show you too much of my pantry. This is the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, that's what I got for $8. All of this and the rest that went into the minestrone soup. And the peels and the ends in the freezer for broth. That's home economics. Take care. God bless.